Hello and welcome to this video about object-oriented programming, also known as OOP in Python. So essentially what I was doing yesterday was learning a lot about OOP in my spare time. I basically had the whole day to myself, so I thought, you know what, this is a little bit of programming that I actually have never touched in my life. So today I'm essentially going to record a video about try to consolidate as much as I possibly can about what I learned about. So without further ado, I'm just going to get straight into it. Let's begin with what a class is. Even before that, let's begin with what an object is, because that's sort of more important. So an object is a thing that is within a class. So any object, you take any object here as a marker. A marker is an object that belongs to the class of stationery. So you've got markers, you've got pens, you've got like pencils, and you've got books and notepads and a bunch of mess in this room. But you've got like sticky notes and things like that. They all belong to the class of, they all belong to the class of stationery. Okay, so if I actually do stationery, because that is how you spell stationery. Yep, stationery. Let's not look at that right now, that looks a bit scary. So objects belong to classes. Classes look like this in Python. So let's start off with def. You've seen def before. Def is essentially how you would start off with a function. Define function. Def, D-E-F. Or diff, you know, the def. But the def means define a function, but within classes, we don't have functions necessarily. We have what are called methods. They're basically the same thing. But there's a special sort of method that you need to use at the start of every class. And it's called the init. The init basically makes sure that there's an assignment of variables of whenever you do an instance of your class. What's an instance of your class? Well, later on, let's see, my pencil case. Pencil case is one word, isn't it? Yeah. My pencil case is gonna do the stationery thing, okay? I'm gonna have that, I'm gonna come back to that and explain exactly what's going on. But you know what this is? This is called an instance of a class. That's called an instance of class. Okay, very similar to how you would define variables. So this is declaring a variable, defining a variable, same thing. Declaring a variable. These two things are very, very similar, except with declaring a variable, we essentially have the data type explicitly described to us, if you want to think of it that way. That's how you would define like variables. Whereas with instances of classes, they're a bit more complicated because they can store multiple different types of data types. So how does it do that? Well, I'll get into that. Def init runs at the start of every class, so it's going to guarantee it's going to run whenever I run that line of code. You've got the self. What is the self? Well, it's a quite complicated question, and you got to ask Alan Watts. But in terms of this, we're talking about whatever is on the left-hand side of this equal sign. You've got the self, which is this thing, and it is assigned to different attributes, or rather, attributes are assigned to the self. So within the init, and it's kind of like a function that takes parameters, but it's sort of a method that has attributes. Those two bits of terminology that I just said there now are very important, and they're basically the same. It's just one is building off on the other to make more of a general abstraction. So again, it's very similar. This is probably whenever you're reading code, you've seen stuff like this, and you read it, but you don't really understand it. Def is for functions, but in the terms of OOP, or object-oriented programming, it is a method. With a method, you've got attributes. Same as how with functions, you've got parameters. So it's very, very similar. Here's an attribute. My bit of stationery might have a name. It's called something. I might have a certain amount of that. I'm just going to write amount, not capacity. It makes more sense. So, or quantity, whatever. I've got a name, a blue pen, and I've got one blue pen. That's basically what I've got in front of me. So if I want to write that down in code, I do it like this. So I do self. So self, again, as I say, is the thing on the left-hand side of the instance of your class. And then you do dot the name, which is the attribute. And that's going to be equal to name. Why is it equal to name? Why have I mentioned name 3 times within these 2 lines of code? Well, it's because in general, whenever I call this class, whenever I create an instance of this class, my name is going to be pencil. if you can see what's going on here, it's essentially, I run this bit of code. Whoops, that's not running it. I run this bit of code. That's a little bit of a stuff that I can store up at the top of my code, and then I can do a bunch of stuff way down here, as opposed to having to create a bunch of functions that are scattered throughout my entire code. This is a thing that's called dry code, I think. Do not repeat or something like that. Do not repeat yourself? Yeah, don't repeat yourself. So that's what dry means. This is why I guess some of this stuff is used. Dry. There you go. So you got dry, don't repeat yourself. It basically makes your code look cleaner, and it's really handy, and it's really powerful, and it's pretty good. But anyway, I'm passing an attribute into my class. Same as how you would pass a parameter into a function. It's the same sort of idea. Again, I keep repeating myself, but you know what I mean. I think you know what I mean at this point. Maybe I'm just going a bit too fast, and maybe I'm just totally illegible, but I don't know. I'm just chilling. So essentially what I've got is two things. I've got a pencil. I had a pen in my hand. I have one pencil. Yeah, I've got one pencil. Let's say that. I've got a pencil. And if I try to print, let me see. If I try to print my pencil case, the stuff that's in my pencil case, what am I going to get? I don't get a pencil. That's not a pencil. That doesn't even look remotely like a pencil, except, no, it's a double-ended pencil as far as I can see, but it's not a pencil, is the point. What is showing up here at the moment? Well, I've got this thing, object. That's an object. Oh, an object. That's the pencil I'm trying to find, right? Okay, and it's at here. This is an address. This is an address on your computer. Basically, memory is stored on your RAM, and how the memory is stored is with an address, so that your computer knows how to go, where to go to whenever it's trying to catch some information. It's got an address. This address is probably pretty hard to read, but it's in hexadecimal, so it's literally just a number. If you think of it that way, it's literally just a number that the computer can understand better than you and I. So main is just the name of our class. It's the name that our computer gives the class, essentially. And this is where it's stored, and it's an object. So I'm trying to find my pencil, but it's not giving me my pencil. If I want to know the name of the things that are in my pencil case, I do that, and it's a pencil. There you go, there's the attribute, it's a pencil. If I want to know how many pencils I have, I do amount, and add one. Add one pencil, there you go. Okay, so I can call my attributes now because I have defined my attributes up here. Well, more specifically here, define my attributes here. It's pretty cool. Okay, so what you can do with this isn't just, you know, I've stored an object in a class, right? Okay, that's pretty cool. What can I actually do with this? Well, as I say, one of the great things about OOP is the fact that you can make your code look really nice. If I wanted to create like some sort of teller system, okay? Somebody's got a bank account, they're going to take money out, they're going to put money in, and essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to write the code that tells the person at the ATM what's going on with their money. So if they have a balance, what, balance and amount? No, let's do a name. Do a name, and let's do that. Okay. Within, I've already mentioned it before, but in classes there are methods. You deposit a certain amount of money, it's self-balance plus the amount. Okay, that makes sense. And then I'm actually we're gonna return something. I'm gonna return your balances now. Use f-string. Your balance is now the self-balance. There you go. That should be it. And then we're gonna do a withdraw. It withdraws an amount, and then your balance is this. But you got to think about, I guess, whenever you don't have enough money, because that is a problem that I have. Yeah. But anyway, let me see. If balance less than 0, no. If the balance... Now, you know what I'm going to do? Get rid of that. And then I'm going to do this. Is less than the amount. Yeah, strictly less than the amount. Don't raise. You don't have enough money. Thanks. Return f-string again. May as well. You don't have enough money to get more. There you go. And else, because that's going to return a thing, isn't it? Yeah. Return that. Okay, cool. So let's run that. That works. So yeah, we took a look at this code here. This is called a method. That's a method. That's a method. Those are functions within a class. They're called methods. So those two methods, they do these things. If I decide to deposit, oh, that's not how you do that. It's a count. Let me see. I need to set up a person. Let me see, bank account. Yeah, right, okay. Let me set up a bank account with a person. I seem slightly confused, but it's just because I'm a bit afraid. Don't worry. Ooh, add a few more zeros to that. That'll be nice. This isn't my bank account. I don't know why I'm getting excited. But yeah, if I print, yeah, let me see. Yeah, it was there a moment ago. Yeah, if I print that and I print this, except I make this 2 million. Instead, what do I get? Oh, attribute error. Amount. Whoopsie. Right, okay, so this has to be amount. Oh, yeah, I see the error. What am I doing? What the hell is going on? What the hell? Interesting. That's my balance. There we go. Do that. And then that. Okay. Your balance is now that much, except now you don't have enough money, get more. And that's essentially what you can do with that's essentially what you can do with OOP. You can create classes which store methods so that your code looks nicer, and then that's pretty cool. Yeah, that's going to be the end of this video. I think I went a bit too much waffling going on in here, but you know, that's the end of it. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I get to release better videos. So yeah, that's basically as much as I know about them anyway. Very little. There's stuff like inheritance and polymorphism and stuff like that, which I can get into, but I think this video is already too long, so yeah. So yeah, that's essentially my little quick video about object-oriented programming. I hope you enjoyed, and there will be a bit more coming on in the future about other different, other stuff. There's something I'm working on at the moment with my Arduino about how to like do some facial recognition stuff. I want to take a look at that. I'm gonna write up a blog and a video about that, so that's gonna be cool. This this has been pretty fun, so I hope that you liked it and you would join in sometime in the future. So yeah, see you soon. Bye bye.